In my opinion, Fire Weaver is one of the most fun builds to play in PvP. Sadly, it's not that good in the current spot. But if you still want to have some fun and really surprise enemies, especially sidenoders, with your incredible bursts, you should try out this build. I'm Summer and let's take a look at this off-meta build. So disclaimer, before I start with the build, I want to say this build is really not that crazy good at the moment because a lot of other specs are just broken. But I hope if they get fixed or if this build gets some amazing buffs, it will become meta again. But it's really fun to play, that's why I wanted to share this build. So let's start with the gear. You want to run Sage Amulet together with Relic of Rivers, because you dodge quite a lot and you get some nice heal and of course the alacrity, and you have a lot of skills to recharge, so that's good. You are condition build, but you also do some nice power damage and you get value from the vitality and healing power as well. Perfect. And you have Rune of the Dolyak just for more toughness, because you can be bursted by power quite easily, so that's why you want to have some toughness. Then you want to run Sword Focus with Smoldering and Energy Sigil. If you feel like you can't get value from the Energy Sigil or you lose a lot of, let's say, fights to conditions, you should go to the Dancing Sigil. But I would always try to stick with this because you get so much value from energy with relics and also your traits. And let's go to the traits. So for the traits, you want to run Arcane, Fire and Weaver. So in Weaver, you have some, let's say, really important traits, because you get now the access to the dual attune. So you get air and fire, for example, now, and you will get access to a lot of new skills. But you also get some nice vitality while you wield the sword, that's why you have such a high life pool. And you get some nice vitality based on your power and your condition damage, that's why Sage is so good, because you get so much vitality from this trait. And you get some barrier when you use a dual skill. Try to use this to your advantage, because sometimes you just can't hit someone with the skill, but you still should use it if you are pressured, because 400 health, yeah, why not? And you get some condition damage and condition duration whenever you attune to a different element, and as a Weaver you have only a really short cooldown of not even 4 seconds, so you have this permanently. Really good. And you get some different benefits from being in attunements. Be aware that this is for both attunements you're currently in, so if you're single attuned to fire, you will lose one straight line power up of this. And then the really strong trait here is gain Vigor when using a dual skill, dual attack, which you can use quite often, therefore you have quite a lot of Vigor uptime, but dodge rolling also grants you barrier. 1k, that's really good actually, because you dodge a lot and it helps you to sustain and survive. And you have Arcane, really important because you get some Fury, you get some really strong boons. Protection is the most important one here, but also the Swiftness, and you can swap quite a lot, so you have a really nice uptime of this because you have such a short cooldown because you are Weaver. And this cooldown is even reduced by having this trait, minor trait. And you get some concentration as well, so the boons last longer. And you get some Vigor when you crit a 4. You don't have any crit chance baseline, but you get some Fury when you swap attunements, so you will crit them eventually, and then you get the Vigor. Really good, because you want to have a lot of Vigor for the Rivers Elite, for the defense, and for your barrier. Then when you cast an elite skill, you will get the blocks for 3 attacks, really strong. So be aware that when you use Weave Self, you get also the blocks. And then your dodge will be altered, so you cast a skill when you dodge at the end of the dodge, depending on the element you're currently in. The most important one are the healing in water and the blast finisher in earth. Of course, try to combo the blast finisher with a field, for example, water field for healing or fire field for might. Really strong. It only works in combat though. And the last trait line is fire. That's why you play Fire Weaver, of course, because you get some nice power. You get some Fire Aura, which is also really good on a condition build, because you will get burning passively to the enemies when they hit you. And your weapon skills recharge is shorter and the damage is increased, so it's not that bad because you have some power. And when you crit, you will, in every third time, you will get on average, you will get a burning application, quite nice. But most importantly, you will have increased burning duration. It's the most important trait here. Whenever you get an aura, you lose one condition, and if you transmute your aura, which you can do in your fire on focus, then you lose even 2 conditions. And the fire auras have increased duration, and you get quite a lot of fire aura because you will swap to fire quite regularly. And then whenever you use a skill, whatever skill that is, in fire, when you're primary attuned to fire, you will get might. Really good. And you have some nice explosion as well. So this is the traits. Be aware that this build has a lot of skills, even more than the normal elementalist, because you have so much dual skills. I won't go over all of them. The most important ones are of course the leap finishers and fire field here with the 2 skill. Some nice fire field that is even really strong damage, especially if you can cast it on a down skill. All the dual skills are actually worth using most of the time. Be sure to read the description if you want to know how they work. And then in water you have some nice roll backwards with also a water field, so this is an evade. And the water field you can combo, for example, with your earth and vortex to get a blast and then a water field. And both of these 2 skills I showed you will evade, so they will now chain your evades and give you some healing. That's the most important one. And then in water you get some nice healing, you get some ace and a blast finisher. It's the most important one. Then you have another leap finisher, which you can combo with your water field, for example. It's a teleport to the target, and also if it hits a daze. And then you have some nice, really strong vulnerability application if you dual attune to air, and some deflect for projectiles, and some knockdown, unblockable, really strong single target though. So be aware when you use it, it's extremely strong. And then you have your earth, like I said, evade here and blast finisher. Earth air is really strong CC as well, but most of the time you want to go into earth for defense as well, because this is a Condi cleanser, blast finisher, instant cast, reflect as well. It's really overloaded this skill. Be sure to use it whenever you need. And then you have obsidian flash, of course, 3 seconds of invulnerability, but you will cast it, so you can't do something else, but you can swap and use your instant skills. Then you want to use Signet of Restoration, because you do so much passive casts, you get so much passive healing. Never use it never actively use it, only use the passive. Get some teleport, which is not a stun break, but it will give you some really nice repositioning possibility and some blind removal if you hit it, because it does damage. This is your only stun break in this build. That's why this build is not meta, because you lack stability access and you even lack stun break access. So this is a short cooldown stun break. It will passively grant movement speed, but it will also apply some weakness and vulnerability if you cast it as a stun break. If you feel like you don't get value from this, you can swap to Twist of Fate. It will give you an evade on a shortly longer cooldown. It's also a stun break. And then the most important skill on a Fire Weaver set is the Primordial Stance. Depending on the current element you're in for the next 5 seconds, and it's adjusting depending on the current element, it will deal conditions around you, which are all really strong. So burning and bleeding, of course, damage. Chill is a really nasty, and especially in a 1-1 condition, because you, let's say, decrease the value of the enemies because they lose recharge rate and the movement speed, so it's really strong. And then vulnerability, it's 8 stacks, so it's really crazy, and it pulses every second. So if you do, for example, fire air attuned and cast the skill, what I would recommend most of the time, you get a huge burst around you. And it's really hard to dodge this, because it's 5 seconds and it's around you. So if you stick on the target, they have to double dodge, and even then you get another tick. So this is really passively doing damage around you. Really strong skill. And then you have, of course, your Weave Cell, which has some cast time, and then you will get some bonuses depending on the current attunement you're in. And then if you swap, you will get, let's say, retain the passively bonuses you get here. So in fire you get some condition damage, on water you get some healing. To others, not so important, but some boon duration, that's good. On air you get some damage and some movement speed. On earth you get minus 20% incoming damage, which is quite huge. It's a lot of toughness equivalent. So if you can, you should use this, all of them. Be aware though that you have 20 seconds to do this. And then when you get through all the elements, you get all the bonuses, of course, but you will also get access to Tailored Victory, which is a flip over skill. If you use this, then you will lose the Weave self stats, but you will get a around you unblockable over 2 seconds float. It's a really strong skill if you can land it. And the really important part about Weave self that is often forgotten is that the recharge time of all your elements is reduced. So your recharge is even lower now, only 2 seconds. It's really strong. So that's all for the traits and the skills and the build. Be sure to test it, it's really fun. It's not the most strong, I have to warn you, but it's really fun to play in. I hope you enjoyed this build guide. If you did, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more build guides like this, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.